Wow, what a difference. The Talkbuster Podcast. Hi, I'm Chris Chipman. You may remember me from such podcasts as the Chipman Brothers Tangent and Creating Geeks, a parenting podcast of great responsibility. I'm here to bring you back to the late 90s, early 2000s, a time of Amrays and clamshells, a time of late fees and VHS tapes being replaced by DVDs, a time of stale gumballs and overpriced candy. Yes, that's right. I am talking about the time of Blockbuster Video, the Walmart of the video rental industry, the mom-and-pop video store killer, the corporate big choice video store that everybody loved to hate. Blockbuster is mostly gone now. Kids today will never know the crazy Friday and Saturday nights with lines wrapped around the store to rent the next big movie. No more will regulars who are in the know arrive at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays to snatch up the new rentals that week before the weekend rush. Most of all, no longer will young movie geeks like myself have the memories I, and many others like me, made while working there. You see, under all of the corporate evil and bad practices, Blockbuster was a home, a comfort, a place where I made lifelong friends and even met my wife. It is because of these memories that I, and I'm sure many of you, have, that the Talkbuster Podcast was created, a place for me and others to share our memories of what once was, of the before time, of the long, long ago. I'm looking forward to see where this goes, how it evolves. Join me, won't you? There's no earthly way of knowing which direction we are going. There's no knowing where we're rowing, or which way the river's flowing. Is it raining? Is it snowing? Is a hurricane a-blowing? Not a speck of light is showing, so the danger must be growing. Are the fires of hell a-glowing? Is the grizzly reaper mowing? Yes, the danger must be growing, for the rowers keep on rowing, and they're certainly not showing any signs that they are slowing. Welcome again to the Talkbuster Podcast. This is Chris.
This is Scott.
This is my second episode with Scott. You probably heard the last episode where we talked about our time working in the Salem, Massachusetts store. And this time around, we are going to discuss our time working in Blockbuster in Woburn, Massachusetts, and how Scott and I ended up there, even though our time at the Salem store seems like, why would you guys have ever left? Well, the company had better thoughts for us. So
the corporate store,
the corporate
environment, the head office, Woburn, Massachusetts.
Yes. So Woburn had offices below it, which was creepy in and of itself.
And it was weird. Like, you walked in and the vestibule right there was a staircase.
They just
went downstairs to
offices.
The office, dungeon, whatever you want to call it.
It was definitely a dungeon.
Yes.
It's a little creepy.
It was weird.
And so they would just kind of walk up and like hang out in the store every once in a while, and you never really knew what was going on. But so Scott, we talked in the last episode how about great Salem was. We had a good group of people. Like, we had me, you, Steve, Jeremy, Casey, Tim, Paul. The names could go, Michelle. Names could go on and on and on. But
some characters.
We had a good group.
We did. It was a lot of fun.
And the weird thing that ended up happening, we've talked about this before, is that, and again, you can't really blame the corporate mindset for this, but their outlook was at a store that got along that well, and with their numbers being that good, there must have been something else going on, because the corporate terminology the Blockbuster utilized for employee theft was the word shrink. And shrink was the word they used for any sort of missing or stolen good.
Yeah, and shrink has always kind of meant just everything, external, internal. But with Blockbuster,
it meant employee theft.
It was just internal.
And so they always said that even if, it was a customer theft, the employees were responsible. And our theft numbers were low at Salem. But they had this vision that, the store having a good camaraderie and us getting along, having things like employee favorite sections and stuff like that, just, it didn't go along with the corporate mindset. So they moved you over to a troubled store. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it was the corporate office store, looking back on it at the time, it was a good opportunity for me, moving up to the corporate office.
Oh, of course. No, it made complete sense.
But I went hesitantly. I didn't really have a choice. The store was underperforming, and Salem was doing really well, and they kind of flip-flopped the managers.
Yeah, and I think the idea, looking back on it, the idea might have been that, we had a manager at that store, at the Woburn store, that might not have been performing quite as well, and maybe giving him an opportunity to be with a group of people that knew how to run a good store might help him, and you being able to help his employees, learn how to better themselves might have been good. But it started getting weird because they did things like they told you couldn't bring any of your staff.
Yeah,
and that was really weird.
I would have loved to bring my entire crew down with me, and I think actually, weirdly enough to say that if that opportunity was presented, I think a lot of people would have come.
Yeah.
I mean, Woburn from Salem you're talking about a half hour, 35 minutes.
Yeah, it's not crazy, but it's...
it would have been nice to bring a couple of employees, maybe bring one of my, assistants that I was developing into a store manager, Steve. I was training and developing Steve, that Steve was going to be the next manager.
Right.
In whether it was Salem or wherever it else may to be. I think there was a certain level of, frustration probably on the Salem staff that still was there.
We were incredibly frustrated.
Because you guys kind of thought that if I did get moved to another store that Steve would be the manager. Unfortunately, we don't have control over that stuff all the time.
Right.
It would have been nice to bring some people, but you know what? You move on, and
of course,
it was just another Blockbuster experience. It was a lot of crazy things happened there, and the customer base was certainly different. The closer we got to Boston, there was a lot of kind of tomfoolery going on.
Yeah, a lot of characters.
Kind of stuff. Yeah.
That was also a high theft store.
Oh, incredibly. Blockbusters were always set up no matter. And Woburn was unlike any store that I had seen before in terms of the way it was set up, because yes, it had that vestibule that went in to the right to go into the store and had its own exit door, but just the way it was almost like this bowling alley it was set up in, and it just invited theft.
Yeah, so I've talked about it on here before with Steve when he was the manager there, but you entered in, and instead of like the entrance to the store being the center of the store, the entrance of the store was like a long, thin, rectangular shaped store, and the entranceway was at one side. It was so you'd enter, and then there'd be double the amount of store to one side that there was to the other side. So you had your manager's pit and the manager's room and the CSR pit, and then your entire new release wall was separate from where you were sitting. So
which
people
made it incredibly awkward. The store was extremely busy, but it made it incredibly awkward when lines formed.
Yeah.
Just because the store didn't have the depth of where the registers were. So the queuing line that they set up was kind of wrapped in a weird way, and
then it went along the new release wall.
Yeah, and so people couldn't get by. I mean, it was awkward.
You just couldn't see the majority of the customers in the store and what they were doing. So the entryway, you could have a guy come stand near the entryway and just kind of be talking and acting like they weren't doing anything, and hold the door cracked open, and then their guy comes with a garbage bag full of movies, and they just open the door and run out, and there's nothing you can do.
Oh, and it certainly did happen. I think about one time I had been there, maybe a couple months, and nowadays, first of all, I would never even think about doing this. But a guy opened the door, another guy went out with a backpack, and I didn't even think twice. I was a young kid. I chased the guy halfway down the block in Woburn.
Yep.
We were able to get the backpack back with the movies, but that was the stuff that people did. We chased shoplifters. And nowadays, not only is it against most companies' policies,
it was against Blockbuster's policy.
But nowadays, you don't know what people are capable of doing.
Yep.
I mean,
over a movie.
Yeah,
or a backpack full of movies.
Yeah.
I remember the loss prevention guy chased someone down the street one time because he just happened to be smoking a butt out front. And the guy ran out with a backpack. Yeah. And chased him down the streat. It was a different time.
Yeah, and he was an intimidating guy, too.
He was an ex-military.
Yep, so I don't think I would have messed around with that.
No. So you get there, and we get, we call him Clown Shoes, the guy who was the Woburn store manager who replaced you. And we've talked about this before. I think anyone that replaced you, we were going to be angry at, but this guy was not good. He wasn't a good manager. He didn't like the product.
Do you know what I mean? And it turned out that there was some not so great stuff going on in the background between him and his assistant store manager. I know when you got there, you'd found a whole room full of PVT pulls that had just been scanned and not processed.
Oh, a lot
to
of
show
different-
the numbers good, and then we started seeing that at Salem.
a lot of different things like
Yeah.
that. There was a lot of shortcuts being done, and everyone wants their job to be a little bit easier. Work smarter, not harder, and I totally get that philosophy. I've always kind of indulged in that myself.
Well, you gotta.
But at the same time, the massive amounts of stuff that I had to clean up at this store before I could even get to a point where we could start helping customers,
Right.
was significant. It was beat up. It was really bad.
So Scott would call us often and tell us about what was going on at this store, and would kind of give us any of the things to be on the lookout for, because it wasn't quite sure to you if it was the guy running the store, if it was somebody else in the store, or something else going on. So, but things started kind of piecing themselves together. But not after long, Scott ended up concocting a plan to get me over to the Woburn store.
Well, it was funny is so the DM at the time, I'm not gonna say his name out loud, but he wasn't a bad guy.
I liked him.
Yeah, he was hit or miss, but he had a good personality, and you could joke around with him. And he was on a store visit down in Woburn. I had been there about a month and a half or so, and he was telling me how the manager that I had switched with was kind of struggling up in Salem, not only connecting with the staff. But also, I think you guys had lost some employees.
Yeah, people just flat out left.
Yeah, they were down an assistant, and so he said, I really need an assistant up in Salem, and the assistant that I was given in Woburn was not very good. He wasn't a hard worker. He wasn't. I don't know. He just wasn't a team player, leaving stuff for people to do when he should have done it, that kind of stuff. And so I jokingly said to my DM, well, you can have him. He can go up to Salem, and joking around. And I said, give me Chris, give me Chippa. And he's like, you want to trade a full-time assistant manager for a sales associate that you were working weekends at the time?
Because I was in school.
And that was it. You close a Friday night, work Saturday whenever they needed you, and Sunday like on a mid shift. And he agreed to it, and we were pretty surprised. But I called you up and told you, and you were like, yeah, when do I start?
Yeah, of course. Because what was perfect about it for me was I was in college, so it was directly at the midpoint between UMass Lowell and Lynn. So I could drive from Lynn to there, and it would be a half hour. I could drive from Lowell to there and be a half hour. Yeah. So it didn't matter where I was; I could make a shift. Yeah. And I really liked that about it. And man, yeah, Woburn was a weird store. We had a different group of people there than we had in Salem for sure.
It was definitely tough to hire for that store. I think I turned over 3/4 of the staff, within 3 months of being there.
Yeah, we had 3 or 4 surprising, coming up from corporate office in the basement, and even you and I being surprised if that kid just got interrogated and wrote a list of all the stuff he stole from the store, and we had no idea. Yeah. There was something shady about him, but we didn't know that was going on. And
Blockbuster would sometimes do that if there was someone that was stealing, whether it was refunds or whatever it happened to be, videos, whatever, as long as they admitted to it, they let them go. But I mean, they could be stealing how much, and they wouldn't even think about prosecuting. They just didn't want them in the building.
They just didn't want them in the building. It was like they didn't even want it mentioned. They didn't want any involvement or any. It just didn't happen.
Yes.
And I guess that's an okay way of handling it, I guess. But
yeah,
who knows whatever happened with those people later on.
Well, you'd like to hope that they learned from it and didn't, go down that path and continue to do that kind of stuff. And, that's what we were hoping. It was, different people that you didn't even think. Like, you were like, oh, my God.
Yeah,
holy crap.
Of course.
But, it was kind of interesting to see that corporate environment and being... we always joked around about it that anyone from corporate could, drive up to Salem and be up here in a half hour and visit us. But
right.
But this was real. It was they were on top of the store each and every day, and there were some nice people that worked down there. I remember the secretary. I want to say her name was Michelle too.
Because there were a couple of Michelles.
Yeah,
there was a Barbary, and then there was...
But I remember Michelle, one of the head like admins down there, being the nicest lady ever.
She was the one with the desk right when you walked down the stairs.
Right when you walked down the bottom. And but it was certainly interesting having them right on top of us.
It was weird. And you'd think it would make the store run better, but I think sometimes it put us at odds with running the store well.
No, because I mean, before you could make little decisions about how you had your store laid out and make little changes to it, and maybe the new release wall wasn't 100% in terms of AL being in front of AS movies, but we had to be in that store. We had to have it perfect because we were the trend setting of what a Blockbuster was supposed to look like.
When you brought new money people, like new people in management to the region, this is the store they brought them to. So you had to look like the commercials and look like the advertisements.
I know, with the bright shiny lights and everything coming down and the right posters in the windows, and that drop box can never be more than a quarter full. And I mean, you had to be.
The employees couldn't have cargo pants, and everyone had to have black shoes.
Yeah. They kind of took, which was kind of cool about Blockbuster too, is that we used to be able to wear shorts between Memorial Day and Labor Day, and for some reason I remember in Woburn for a while they didn't want us wearing shorts.
They didn't want to wear shorts because they didn't want to end up having to tell someone they couldn't have a job because of tattoos. That's what it ended up. I remember actually getting the answer on that.
Huh. Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Because they thought some of the money people, if they saw it, would be upset.
Huh. Oh, no.
That's
tattoo.
Weird.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, not a tattoo.
Jeez.
Oh, God, no. Yeah, it's interesting. So, not long after I was there, you had Michelle come back, because she had left the company. She was back with McDonald's.
Yeah, she left the company, and Michelle was up. She worked in Salem for a little bit.
And then she went to you as a manager, and then to Peabody as a store manager.
Yeah, she came down to Woburn, and the same DM that let you come down. And this was the kind of changing that, initially when they wouldn't let people come down with me, I talked to the DM, and Michelle kind of came down, and I told the DM, I'm going to do everything I can to get her ready to run her own store. And Michelle, could have stepped in and did run the store when I wasn't there, even when I was there. I relied on her to do a lot of stuff in the store, especially if I was bouncing around to some other stores in the district helping do setups or inventories or stuff like that. Michelle ran the store. And so Michelle came down and worked with us in Woburn for a while. It was fun. It was fun. It was good. It was good to have her down at the store with us, and a lot of good laughs. Just some of the shenanigans that went on, and some of the employees that
we had some weird ones. We had Detooch.
We just call him Detooch.
Detooch. Yeah. And he was your. I don't know if you could have a more stereotypical like Martin Scorsese background film character or Boston area film character. He was the most stereotypical Italian man you could ever meet in your life.
Long kind of mullet hairstyle and the glasses that were probably a couple sizes too big.
Yep.
And just talked with an attitude, whether it was to the customers, the other employees. And I don't even know why I really hired him.
No, because I
thought we kind of needed someone, a CSR, desperately Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
And he was reliable.
He was very reliable. In hindsight, he dropped an F-bomb during the interview with him. I probably shouldn't have hired him just for that reason. But. Yeah.
We had a hard time not having him be vulgar. There was that infamous time you got the phone call from downstairs asking about F-bombs being dropped on the shift, and we had
a customer just called us and said that there's said it wasn't the manager I've seen all the time. It was some other guy that was up there,
and he was there with me, but me and him both had we had a pull from a box of different name tag names that were fake movie ones, so he wasn't wearing his name tag. It's just Scott quick thinking when there's no one here that works here by that name. They must be crazy.
In hindsight, that's a story. Just going back to Salem for just 2 seconds with the name tags is I actually had a name tag. It was an official Blockbuster blue and yellow name tag before they switched to those kind of silver ones.
Yep.
But it said Scott Store Manager on it, but I had an extra one that I would sometimes wear, and my name was Tyler Durden. And I actually put it on the name tag and got a call from corporate on a Monday morning about a complaint about the store manager over the weekend. I don't know what they said I was doing wrong. Maybe I didn't take their late fees off or something like that. But they actually complained that there was a manager named Tyler Durden that refused to help them and take care of them. And I didn't get in trouble because
there is no
Tyler Durden.
There is no Tyler Durden.
No Tyler Durden that works here.
And so Datuch was an interesting guy. He made things fun, but he was always around, and he told some funny stories. He was just he was an odd duck.
Yeah, I don't know where he is right now, to tell you the truth. He could be one of two ways, still causing chaos and kind of, for different workers, or, to tell you the truth, it wouldn't surprise me if he was in jail either.
I picture him working at like a deli counter at like a mom and pop grocery place where they allow him to just be a prick to people. You know what I mean? You said 3/4 of a pound, you get fucking 3/4 of a pound. Yeah. That's just how I picture him. Yeah, I don't know why.
I can see that.
Yeah, he was a character.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about it, but what's more of back to so Michelle came there as the assistant store manager, and they were priming her up to run another store, and so it was Scott, Michelle, and then you had one other manager. And no shift leaders, because one of the guys who was one of the more reliable shift leaders ran his mouth to a guy's son on Halloween. Or remember the guy's son was in the store and he told him, "You can dress your son like a girl." And me and you both looked at each other and went, "Well, we're firing him."
Well, that's going to corporate. And that was one of those things that we kind of knew that complaint was going to go to corporate, and kind of nixed it in the bud. It was one of those ones that you let corporate know that the complaint is coming.
Yeah,
because
and we even told the guy.
If I don't, because the guy, when it happened, he knew that we were there working, and I apologized profusely to the customer, but just kind of knew that he'd be contacting corporate.
And the guy working for us, like, he was a good employee, so it's one of those shit situations where you're like, you fucked up. He was really apologetic, and we're just like, our hands are tied here, dude. Like, there's not much. Yeah. That guy was very mad, and you said something very stupid. Like, you can't get yourself out of that one.
But those were kind of the Woburn area. You know? It was just, it's a tough. Woburn is a right outside of Boston, and it can be a little tough.
It was a rough little town.
Yeah, but it was like a lot going on in it too. For a small little downtown area. I went through there. Last time I was in the Boston area, and they've kind of revitalized it.
They have
down there.
They got a lot of cool restaurants,
nice restaurants and bars and stuff, and
the Blockbuster's a Salem 5 bank.
They like making them into banks.
But what I was going to say is, so you were down to just you and Michelle, who was getting ready to go to another store, and one other manager at that point. So me and you and Michelle went out to Ghetto Times.
Yeah.
Our favorite place. Good Times in Everett, Mass. Or Somerville. I forget where that was.
Yeah.
Which is now not there, but it was, a really sketchy family fun emporium that was also a bar and a nightclub. And we were playing pool, and I was 17 or 18 and drinking drinks that I shouldn't have been able to be drinking. And they offered me a shift leader to become assistant store manager position. And it was I was in college, so it's like, Dory, you'll be the weekend guy.
And we're going to give you all this responsibility, and I wish I could give you more money, but
the company wouldn't let them. They tried, because I wasn't going full time. But so then I became one of the assistant store managers, and that was really cool. Running inventories.
Yeah, I mean, a young kid just being in charge.
And there wasn't an employee that was younger than me.
No, and totally just owning it, and knowing from the start, we've been friends a long time, but knowing that, to be able to take on that responsibility as a young kid, that's something that used as a learning experience.
I put it on every resume I've ever had.
And there's nothing wrong with even if you worked there how many years ago, is putting Blockbuster on your resume is because, you know what, I hope you bring it up. I hope we can have a conversation about Blockbuster.
Right, because a lot of the times they laugh.
Yep.
And that's the that's the thing, is it's like they laugh because a lot of the people that I've been hired by, sometimes are interviewed with, don't remember it. Like, I've been interviewed by people that are, younger than me. So it's like, what, you don't remember Blockbuster?
Oh, it's certainly
they you don't even remember 9/11.
Certainly they had you doing a lot more than probably what you should have been doing.
Yeah, but that happens to me at all my jobs.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's just how I am.
I guess you're responsible.
Apparently.
You're responsible. That's a good thing.
For all of this.
Yes.
Whatever all of this is.
Here, run this building.
Run this building. So that brings up another funny one. So there was a shift Scott and I showed up to close for. This brings up some of the less good sides of how the corporate side of the store run. Because as Scott and I mentioned in the other podcast, they just wanted you to be open. They didn't really care what you were doing. They wanted you to be open. So it didn't matter if you had to give somebody keys that made so they could close the store. If the store stays open, they're happy. We had in the drop boxes, because if you think about this now, I wonder how Blockbusters did in more inner city locations now that I think about these drop boxes. Because here was a slot large enough to put a couple of movies in that you could throw an M80 in. You know what I mean? You could shoot silly string through. No, think about this.
No, it's true.
You could do all kinds of fucked up stuff. And here we are, and it's open to the public all night.
It is.
You're
right.
And even like bank vaults and stuff, I'm sure have, blast casings in them. Those overnight bank drops, but this didn't.
This just dropped right down.
It dropped into freaking IKEA furniture. Do you know what I mean? Like this, so... But it had this shitty old, that we were supposed to check as a store, but I don't think anyone ever checked, chemical fire extinguishers to hopefully help against this.
Why did they put in the drop box?
So if anyone dropped something on fire in the drop box, it would go off.
Yeah, no.
Save the movies, not the employees. Save the movies. So here's the deal. So we had apparently a malfunctioning one, and one of the nights Scott and I are sitting there working, we feel this big, you're at one register, I'm at another, it's a busy Friday, and we feel this rush of air and see the entire store fill with a cloud of chemical, that sand fire extinguisher. Not the liquid one, but the sand fire extinguisher. And let me tell you, there was not a tape in the store that did not get covered in this shit. The entire store.
It took so long to clean.
So we told everybody to leave the store. There wasn't a problem. It told them to leave the store. Told them, please, we don't know what, we're not chemical specialists. Please contact a doctor. Do you know what I mean? Call Blockbuster, tell them you were here when this happened. And we locked the door. And we got a call from corporate saying they had heard that the store was closed and we had to open back up. And we told them what had happened, and they said, well, call the fire department, and if until they get there, stay open, because we need to keep renting movies. We're like, you can't rent any of the movies. They're covered in chemicals.
Yeah, we can't.
And so Scott and I stayed there for the rest of the night with the door locked, wiping up movies. Probably should have got a hazmat suit. Probably should have, but we did
it was
disgusting.
I mean, I felt like we were, for months after that, cleaning, like, it would just, like, it just seemed like it would just continue to fall, like, from wherever, and the shelves would be covered by it. Customers would be complaining that there was this kind of grit on the shelves, and they feel like they got dirty from,
we had a contingency at the registers. We always open the movie you were renting, which you were supposed to do anyway, and if that was in there, either find another copy for them or wipe it out before you let it go out the door. That was pretty messed up. That was pretty messed up.
Yes, it was. I mean, it was just and the customers' reactions on their faces, seeing this cloud just kind of going over the store. It was messed up, but comical at the same time.
And now we shortly, I think it might have been between Woburn and Salem, where we did one of these during our time in Woburn, and then did one during our time in Salem. But we went to Six Flags in Western Mass as a store a couple times. And I think the first time it was the Salem store, and the second time it was a mix between the Woburn and the Salem store. because I think like Rich and David J might have been there. Rich and David J were there the second time.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about that. So we've got photos of the entire crew on Superman.
Oh, yeah, and it was fun. I mean, just a group of friends to be able to, hang out and be able to do something. I think we had some Michelle at that point was managing Peabody, so her and her staff came down and covered the store so that we could go to Six Flags. It was pretty cool, and just being able to. And who doesn't want to go ride coasters?
No, it was fun. And those 2 times were incredibly fun. What we do is we'd get up early in the morning and we'd stop and leave all our cars in the Blockbuster parking lot and then drive from there. So when we came back, we could go in and say hi to the people that were working, maybe bring them something from the gift shop, thank them. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. So what else? Do you have any other, what are some of the other fun? Woburn, I feel like we were more disjointed from each other. I don't know if that's it was just kind of more of a job at that point.
But there
was some fun stuff.
It was. I mean, having you and Michelle there was definitely a lot of fun. But, I think we missed the camaraderie of us all working together. But it was a little bit different. Like, we were one of the first stores to test that were open till 1 o'clock on Friday and Saturday. We were open till 1 o'clock. And by the time you did the deposit, by the time you made sure the store was clean,
it's 2-3 in the morning.
You were leaving at 2:15 probably on average. And that's a quick turnaround, especially if you got to work the next morning.
And a lot of the times you did.
And you did to cover shifts or especially when we were short staffed or whatnot. But it was. When I look back at Woburn, the whole area I remember there being good eats around there.
There were Liberty Bell. My brother's
place. Yeah. There was an awesome little pool hall too.
Right around the corner.
Right around the corner on a second floor. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was awesome. And they were open. If you were only working till whatever time, I mean, they were open till midnight.
They were open till midnight or 1 in the morning, yeah.
So, plus it was a little bowling alley around
the Woburn Bowlodrome.
Yeah.
We
Is
actually
that still open?
Yeah, we employed the son of the Woburn Bowlodrome. What was his last name? Some with a G. Gavant or Gallant. The son of the guy that ran it ended up working for us.
Really?
Yeah. He was an interesting kid. He designed Battlefield 1942 world maps for online shooters. Yeah,
interesting.
And co-ran the Bowlodrome and worked with us. He was an interesting kid. The Woburn Bowlodrome. So then, unfortunately, the Woburn time got a little dark. So Scott fucked his knee up real bad.
That would be an understatement.
Yeah,
and people are like, how did you hurt up your knee at Blockbuster?
Oh, this was messed up.
So actually, it wasn't in the back room. I was actually getting ready to leave for the night, and it was around 12:40 or so, and I had to finish up the deposit, that kind of stuff, and I actually sent my CSR home for the night. Right around 12 and said, I just got to do the money. I'll be out of here in 20 minutes. Because at that point, we had one drawer to count, that kind of stuff. And so when I went to leave, I knew I had the next day off and I was going to work on the schedule. So I said, my paperwork's over at the desk. Turned my body real quick and my knee kind of gave up. And I shattered my kneecap into like a million different pieces.
I remember.
So, I don't know how the hell I got out of there. I got up on a mop handle.
I remember you telling me.
Mop handle got into my car and drove home with my left foot.
You called me that night to tell me because you were like, you didn't know what the fuck was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, the craziest thing in the world is, guess what? Now I'm the store manager.
Yeah. We had no staff. No staff.
They didn't change my rate. This was the end of the school year, so the beginning of the summer. I now became a 70 to 90 hour a week employee because I was the assistant store manager and the store manager.
How many open and closes were you doing?
A lot. 3 a week. 3 or 4 a week.
Yeah.
Scott was at his parents' house in North Reading during the day because it was close to your doctor, I think, and the surgeries and stuff you were getting.
Yeah, and it was just someone that could kind of watch over me during the day because I literally was incapacitated.
Yeah, and so I would come up there, I would work an open shift, and then have a 3-hour break and go work on the schedules with Scott.
And I was teaching him how to do store manager stuff.
Well, all the
18.
paperwork,
Yeah.
because again, they were things I was capable of doing, but I just didn't know I had to do them. I ran 3 inventories that summer with Michelle helping me out, but I ran them. You know what I mean? And it was just me and Michelle. None of the other staff showed up.
And it is typical that they didn't put another manager in there. It was and Woburn was a high volume store too. It wasn't slow. The transactions and the customer count was extremely high. So not put another manager.
And we had a manager from Stoneham who was helping out with shifts that summer, and that was helpful. But that's a different story that we're going to get to without saying all that much about it. You know, it seemed to be going well. We have the store covered. I was helping Scott out. But what I kept reminding the people downstairs, and I would remind them this as I showed up to every shift, when the summer's over, I can't do this. I'm going back to school, and we didn't know when you were coming back. But so I just kept the store running, and they kept telling me, you're doing a great job. The store's in great shape. Your numbers are good. Keep it up. Well, they brought in this lady who was going to train, and I had to train her to become a store manager while I was still learning. And her husband was training to be an assistant store manager.
Yeah.
So I had to train him too. And leaving out, I'll let Scott talk to the next part, but leaving out what eventually happened with some other shit going on in the background, let's just say that they had no one to cover the store. Scott had a prolonged absence, so this person was going to take over the store and run it till he came back. I'm showing up on a Wednesday night shift after a whole day worth of school, my first week back at college. And again, I'm like a sophomore in college at this point. So this is, 18, 19 years old. This is not, I'm a 35-year-old guy. I had just had a car for 2 years, let alone, a full-time job in school. I'm on my way back down and I get rear-ended. My car is totaled, bent in half. And I call up the store and say, look I'm not going to be able to make it in tonight. I got in a car accident. I'll see you guys for my shifts this weekend, my last 2 shifts. And they said, we'll send you a cab. We really need you to come in here. And I said, no, you don't understand. I probably have to go to the hospital. I was in a car accident. Okay, tell us which hospital. We'll send the cab to the hospital.
That's unbelievable.
And I said, I am never coming in again. And I hung up the phone. So then...
I know.
But lo and behold, in the background, there was some weirder shit going on. So the help from Stoneham, who was somebody that Scott knew and had brought into the company, without going into names or anything like that, apparently was going through a real shit time in their life. And they were there helping me. And it turned out that while they were there helping me, they were robbing the Stoneham store blind.
Yep.
And so I was stuck then before this time leaving with, I'm supposed to go away on vacation and my store is covered and now I have no coverage. So the corporate people downstairs and me reworked up my shifts. So the loss prevention guy and the district manager were running shifts in the store so I could go away on vacation. This sucked. I didn't really know the implications of what really went on, but let's just say it didn't set up Scott for the best time in the world when he came back. And I felt kind of responsible for this because they changed their tune of all the stores running great to, these people had no idea how to run the store and they didn't train you right. They said all this terrible stuff to me and I go, after I had quit. And I'm like, this isn't fucking fair. The store had great numbers. Like, I don't, why are we the bad guys all of a sudden? But
and I think, in hindsight, not going into, names and stuff like that, but the hindsight, the lesson of what I'm saying is that you have to sometimes be careful. Sometimes it's better to make friends at a job that you're at rather than if you're not 100% sure about the person that you might be recommending for a job, don't bring them in.
Right, agreed. That's a good lesson to learn from this.
And so anyways, while I was out on my knee surgery, this person that I had known was stealing a lot of stuff from the company and actually got terminated. So needless to say, I was the person that recommended this. So on my first day back from my leave, when I showed up in Woburn, obviously loss prevention wanted to talk to me because I knew this person.
And again, looking at it from the other side, we're bitter about this. I mean, I'm bitter about the whole situation, but it's hard to blame them.
No, and I totally understand, and
standpoint.
that's why I preface this with, lessons to be learned and things to do and not do. But ultimately, I was grilled, for a couple hours from people in corporate about what my involvement might have been in all this stuff that was going down. And ultimately, they made the decision that they were going to ship me out to Chelmsford.
Which is another half an hour up the road.
Which at the time I was living in Stoneham, and Woburn Center for me was fantastic because it was only 10 minutes, maybe 12 to 15, at tops, first in the morning time. But, Chelmsford was no easy to get to because you had to take 95 and then you had to deal with Route 3 going up towards Nashua that way and traffic and all that. And, I think there was some bitterness, and that's kind of what... in the end was one of the factors that made me leave Blockbuster. I think the number one thing though was just seeing the slowness in the stores and climate changing and people all of a sudden getting movies delivered to them in the mail.
Right, and that
Netflix.
was right around the year that Blockbuster decided to not buy Netflix, which kind of sealed the deal.
Not a very smart move.
No, not a very smart move at all.
But I was up in Chelmsford, and I spent probably 4 months out of there during that time.
Yeah,
after
Drum
that,
Hill.
After that, I was gone. I moved on to other retail pastures, but that's kind of what happened to me after I came back from my knee surgery, and moved on from Woburn.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I'll have Michelle on to talk to her about that, but I left the company. Again, and I could probably see the company if they really wanted to be nasty, putting like a not recommended for rehire in there on me for quitting the way that I did. But Michelle eventually hired me back, and we'll talk to her more about that. But she said, I'm going to hire you for the pay you were getting as an assistant store manager, which I know wasn't great, but it's really good for a CSR. And she said, and all I need you to do is stand at the front of the store and smile at people.
That's great.
And I
great.
thought that was great.
Nice.
Because she knew what a screw job we all got. That was kind of the reality of it. I mean, you can be a company player like her and understand that they fucked people over pretty bad too at the same time.
And that's the thing is looking how things kind of went downhill for me at the end and what my opinions were of the company and how it turned sour. But looking back on it, I've been in retail a long time, and Blockbuster was and still is the funnest job I've ever had. I met great friends working there, lifelong friends that I'm still friends with, it was just a good environment. It
makes you smile.
It was fun. I am smiling right now just
right?
talking about it. Who doesn't want to stand around and talk about movies?
Yeah, who doesn't want to stand around and talk about something you're all passionate about?
And you're encouraged to
and
talk
have that
about
be
it.
what you get paid for. Yeah, you're encouraged to stop the customers and talk to them about it. Like,
I know.
That's
the best.
It's very weird, right?
Yes.
And I don't know. There's not a ton of jobs out there like that anymore.
No. Retail is certainly changing. With an online presence of everything, and people. Don't go out to brick and mortars as much as they used to, and everything it's got to be quick and in your hand. And I wanted to watch that movie yesterday.
Yeah,
and it better be available to me.
Yeah, I mean the Amazon Prime thing. I want it the day before it comes out.
Yeah.
What?
Yep. And you know what? That's and listening to your podcast. About the last blockbuster in the world. There's some nostalgia to that. There's some nostalgia to still being able to go into a store and pick out a movie.
I'm jealous.
And make it an experience.
I'm jealous
and look at the back of a cover box. And
I'm jealous of the customers that still have that store to go to. And I'm jealous of the employees for still getting to work there. Like I told them, it's like they kept... Hearing them talk about working there, it's like they kept the vision we had of what we thought the store was, but made that the actual store. Like, they do comedy nights there. They keep the store open and have local stand-up comedians just do a gig in the middle of the store while people work. And do it as a charity event.
That's fantastic.
It's just a freaking awesome idea, right? They do trivia nights. Like, it's a bar, like, in the middle of the store. It's like, this is a fantastic idea.
Why not?
And I think it's wonderful. I want to work there. Please.
Let's go.
It's a, $300-400 plane ticket. Let's do it. Why not?
You're opening tomorrow.
Oh, shit. Aren't you opening tomorrow?
No.
You wouldn't have been able to read what I wrote in the manager log anyway, so.
That's true.
My coworkers still go, you know what, I'm going to take notes because we can't read what the fuck you wrecked down. Like, yeah, that's true.
Nice.
Yep.
You just come in the next morning after you close, and I'd be like, I'd have to call you because I had no idea what it said.
No, I'm sorry.
It's quite all right.
It was all done.
It was. Yep.
I was just really tired. That's all.
And that was sometimes working at Blockbuster. You were just tired because you were there all the time.
Yeah, all the time. All the time. Stuck in that back room looking for cover boxes.
Yep.
Refacing the new release wall. Oh, and then, God, Woburn had too many favorites and not enough shelf space. Remember we had to move the drama and comedy onto the new release wall?
Yeah.
Because we had no space.
No, and then they flipped out when we started spining the movies.
Oh, yeah, they hated that.
We spined the first two
spining
movies
for
on the
people-
left-hand
Yeah,
side.
spining for people that don't know is turning the movies so you read the side of the box instead of the front. They hated
Well, we would
that.
do it to save space, but
And we'd pick shitty movies to do it to, too. That was the other thing.
they didn't like that much.
They didn't like that at all. But what else were we going to do? They wouldn't give us new shelves.
No.
I don't even think the person that made the shelves is still in business at that point, right?
No, the only time we got new shelves is when they expanded out the video games and brought in those wires.
Wire shelves for the video games. For video game sales. You know, it was funny talking to the people from the last Blockbuster. They said that a year ago they made the decision to stop doing renting and selling video games. Because the video game companies charge so much. This is not
To
worth
bring
it
the copies
anymore.
into the store?
It's just not worth it anymore.
I don't blame them.
And there's so much theft. I mean, they just end up getting stolen.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Because it's a big commodity item, right? When you think about it, a rental copy of a video game is a $60 game.
How many times are you going to turn over that game?
Right,
You're
just
in
not.
terms of renting it.
It's crazy. So yeah, what final thoughts on Woburn? I think we kind of hit them all, but
Woburn.
the Woo Town.
Excuse me. Woburn. And it was definitely a little bit more chaotic than Salem.
Yes. It was more of a job.
But you're right. It was more of a job, and it was a different side of Blockbuster. And looking back on it, I'm glad that I actually got to experience it. Just because all I had known up to that point was my Salem crew.
Right.
You know, and the first store I started in North Reading, but all I had known about Blockbuster was Salem.
And it was good. It was good to find a way to be in the know. It was nice sometimes when you had a real problem. Like, you know, you would just close on a Friday night and something real shitty went down. You know, like, say, you know, we had a car on fire in the parking lot. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
We had a customer come in and go, dudes, there's a car on fire in your parking lot.
Yeah, it was parked right against that side street that ran in front.
And we, you know, that night, you know, the cops showed up. We did everything we were supposed to do. But it was nice to be able, we opened the next day and walked down and we're able to talk to people right there to go, what else are we supposed to do? Like, what's the fallout of this? How do we make sure customers think they're safe here? You know, like, what's the contingency? And it was really cool, do you know what I mean, to have that. Right, you know, right at our fingertips. Although I'm sure they were winging it just as much as we were, but
yeah,
at least they had the answers.
I think that's looking back on it. I think that's kind of the way that they ran things.
Yeah,
because if we weren't just winging it, we probably still would have been in business.
That
right,
of course.
Yeah, so
of course.
No, it was a good time. It was just really, really. You know, I still think about Woburn being open till 1:00, and it just blows my mind.
Yeah, no one came in. It was a failure.
Yeah, it was.
Like, people, the only things people came in for between midnight and 1:00 were ice cream and soda, and they were usually stoned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you'd think that would be more. It wasn't a lot of people. There was a couple guys. Like,
yeah.
So we were a 7-Eleven after midnight.
That's true. It's just a place to get snacks.
Just a place to get snacks. But they loved selling their snacks. Big markup.
Yeah.
Nerds ropes and Doritos.
Nerds ropes.
And Bunch of Crunch.
Butterfinger
BBs.
and snow caps. Raisinets.
Oh, but then there was the buy your bucket of popcorn and your Raisinets and mix them together.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. And how much were those buckets? They were probably
like $5-6 bucks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Anyway, so now, Scott, as we do at the end of all these, you're now the employee to start.
Okay.
And I'm gonna. Oh, sorry, no, I'm the employee, and you're gonna walk up with a movie.
Okay.
We'll start it off.
Okay.
What's it gonna be?
What am I renting?
Yeah, and I'm gonna.
I am renting Full Metal Jacket. No, I did War last time.
Yeah, okay.
So let's. I seem to be. You know what? I have been watching a lot of like war type documentaries lately, so I guess that's where my mind's going. But let's go with Super Troopers.
Nice.
And it's kind of weird. I bring it up Super Troopers because, you know, in between the podcast, we went out to dinner with Steve.
And talked about Super Troopers.
And we were talking about movies. And so we're going to bring up Super Troopers. Just because Steve doesn't like it.
Just because
and
Steve
you and I
doesn't
do
like
it.
I think it's hilarious.
So let's give Steve an alternative to a movie that he would.
Oh, I was going to stick it to Steve and recommend him another Broken Lizard movie.
Oh, there you go.
No, but I won't. I won't. So if you come up with Super Troopers, what am I going to recommend to you? If you come up with Super Troopers, you know what I've been thinking about a lot lately? If you come up with Super Troopers, I'm going to recommend Idle Hands.
Okay, that's.
Do you remember Idle Hands?
Seth Green.
That was a Seth Green horror comedy, kind of high school horror comedy.
Kind of came alive and strangled people.
And Idle Hands, I just watched it recently because I didn't think it was going to hold up as well as it did. And it's in that same vein of this movie's hysterical. It seems kind of cobbled together by friends more than it seems.
Yeah, written. It was in that whole era. It was in that whole era of movies that came out around that time. It was like Jawbreaker.
Yeah,
and like all these kind of like teen kind of pseudo horror movies.
Yeah.
Like real life things that could happen, you know, that kind of stuff.
And it somehow it just worked for me. It had, you know, like Dexter Holland from The Offspring is in it. Like The Offspring's like playing a show and the hand rips his head off at one point. It's just a silly movie, but you know, I think it falls in a good vein, even though Super Troopers is kind of doing the cop movie. Yeah. This is doing the horror movie, but it's kind of a dick and fart joke comedy.
It's the same kind of humor.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
So okay, so now I got to bring up a movie. Let's see, Woburn. I got to think about Woburn. And what movies make me think of Woburn? Or just something from my employee favorite section. You know what? This is... Oh man, these are hard, and they get harder every time I do this. What's a movie that makes me think of Scott and Woburn? So you've been doing the war movie thing. We just did a comedy. I'm gonna do Hardcore Henry. Have you seen Hardcore Henry, Scott?
I have not seen Hardcore
All right,
Henry.
so if you haven't, this is a good opportunity for me to recommend something to you. So Hardcore Henry.
Yep.
I think this is a movie that would have rented like fucking crazy at Blockbuster. But it's unfortunately a product of the YouTube generation because of how it was shot. So this guy, I'm going to botch his name. His name's like Ilya Stoknikor. I think he's a Russian director. He's in a band. Okay. And the band is called Biting Elbows. You're like a
Berserker.
Yes, my love for you is ticking clock, Berserker. Would you like some aching fuck, Berserker? Did he just say making fuck? Anyway, that's actually, wouldn't it be hilarious? So the same exact idea. I don't know. His band's called Fuck Your Yankee Blue Jeans or something like that. Olaf, metal face, girl thinks sexy. Anyway, so this movie, the guy started making music videos for his band, and the music videos had a standard through point for them where they were first person video game style. So that was a guy running around in first person doing stuff, but they were all like action, like really over the top pseudo Matrix futuristic action movies, but all from the guy's perspective. So he made this movie Hardcore Henry about a guy who wakes up and his wife's there and she goes, hey, you almost died. You've got these cybernetic enhancements, you know, but you need to escape from this guy that's coming for you, so run. And the guy kidnaps her, and so the whole movie is Henry trying to find his wife. And it's all done in first person. And, you know, the effects are crazy. The stunts are, they'd never get away with putting, because the director was the camera operator, was the main character. Yeah. So he's throwing himself off buildings with no harnesses and doing all this crazy shit. And so it's like a living video game. And I love it. And so if you've never seen Hardcore Henry, I recommend.
But recommend something that's kind of similar to that.
You think would fall into the same. And it's super gory. It's like Tarantino level.
So this isn't a gory movie, but it's the same kind of aspect. Is from a first person recording, and it was probably his first big kind of drama role. Was Jim Carrey in The Truman Show.
Oh, see, that's a great recommendation.
And I'm just thinking about, it's the same kind of, it's not the same genre.
No, but I get what you're saying.
But the whole, wanting to run, and once he finds out the truth, what he does and the relationship between him and Ed Harris and
who's like playing God basically.
Oh yeah, it's just a brilliant movie, and it was really Jim Carrey's first big drama role.
Big drama,
and it really set him off into some other great drama roles.
From the same
Man on the
director.
Moon, Eternal Sunshine that he did, and Jim Carrey's brilliant. For as much as people always be known as Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, but he's actually doing some brilliant stuff. Even online today, and being a political activist. With his drawings, and he's a hell of an interview if you ever see him on. Highly recommend if you ever see you want to see what's on TV, and he's going to be on the Tonight Show or Stephen Colbert or something like that. It's a good interview. So anytime you see him,
he's really smart. That's the other thing. Yeah. Like you wouldn't expect it, but he can throw down in a debate or an argument. The one thing that I'm glad, and I really hope he's diminished this a lot, is because him and his ex aren't together anymore, right? The crazy one that used to host that MTV show.
Oh, Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah. Because when they were together, she's a crazy anti-vaxxer.
Yes.
And so I think he's distanced himself from that, and that makes me happy.
And I'm sorry if this offends anyone. Actually, I'm not really sorry.
No, I've talked about this before.
I'm not really sorry, but measles was a disease that was dead. Like gone. Vaccinate your kids. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Or we're going to start telling kids to bring Skippy to school. So that's just a little joke, but
it's like a smallpox blanket, but for the YouTube generation.
No,
so that's terrible.
So vaccinate your kids, so that the other kids
don't get sick.
And my buddy kid's his kids can stay safe.
Nice.
Thank you.
Truman Show is a great recommendation.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
I think that's his best movie.
I agree.
It's just fantastic. So that's our time in Woburn. I love doing this podcast.
It is fun. Thanks for having me, man.
Oh no, of course. So you plugged what was his name on the last show? Someone you said to listen to.
Oh, Tom Segura.
Yeah, and do you got anything else?
Just that I've been into recently.
Yeah.
I just been trying to appreciate bands that maybe you listened to a lot when you were younger, but still kind of resonate. Especially with, it seems to me that kind of rock is dead a little bit.
It's kind of doing
I'm
stuff.
sounding really old now.
No, it's doing some weird stuff.
So for me, I've been kind of just going back and listening to a lot of the old music I used to listen to,
nice.
and just appreciating it for what it is, and and you start hearing bands that you loved in the 90s that are now considered classic rock, and I'm a big classic rock junkie, and
yeah, dude. When I started seeing Green Day
and
Nirvana and Foo Fighters showing up on ZLX, I was like, oh god, no.
Yeah, Rock 102. I'll plug Rock 102 also out in Springfield. If you guys like classic rock and you like actually good morning time banter, Bax and O'Brien. If you're happen to be driving through the Springfield area between like 6 in the morning and 10, they are a great listen. And the station comes into probably Western Mass out to about Worcester. So if you happen to be driving through in the morning, I'll plug Western Mass too.
Yeah, go to Western Mass. Go to the Big E.
There's a lot going on in Western Mass all the time, and a little bit slower than the Boston area.
It definitely is.
But it's good to be back here and visiting with you guys, and thanks for having me, man.
Of course, man. So that's another episode of the Talkbuster Podcast. Again, these were the 2 episodes. It turned into 2 episodes because, it's Scott, and we had a lot to talk about. But I've been looking forward to this. So I ever since I started this show, this was the interview I was looking forward to the most.
Thanks, man.
And so this is awesome. And it just gave an excuse to get you back out here, which is even cooler.
Yeah.
But as always, I'm Chris Chipman, the Chippa on Twitter. I run the Chipman Brothers Tangent, Creating Geeks with my wife, Sarah, Shooting the Shit with Chippa, and the Talkbuster Podcast, which you're listening to now. I've also been the guest on the Geeks with Shields podcast and their brother podcast, sister podcast, Geeks Who Haunt. I've been on the Pumpkin Copter cast. I've done some written reviews for the Big Brown Chair. And I'll soon, runners up or people coming up for Talkbuster, I'm going to have some people from Scarecrow Video on, which is the largest collection of physical media in a rental type of store left on the planet. They have 140,000 strong VHS, Laserdisc, and DVDs, and they're a big fundraiser. They're run, I think a lot of local film critics either work for or work with the place. They seem like a great place. Can't wait to have them on. You can find me at patreon.com/thechippa. All of you that are supporting me so far, it's awesome. Remember, I do have a day job. Doing this, putting aside any time for this, takes away from my time with my family. So anything you guys can give me to help support that is awesome, and I appreciate it. But again, the most important thing is that you listen and you send this around. I have a promotion going on right now where if you get me up to $300 a month, which would be the same as the people that are giving me money right now, just give me an extra $1 each a month and would basically get me there. But if you do, I'm going to pick 20 of you at random, and you're going to get some stickers from the last Blockbuster on Earth, the Blockbuster in Bend, Oregon. So I really hope you guys can get me there and I can give those out. So until next time, thank you for making it a Talkbuster night or day or whenever you're listening to this. And please be kind, rewind. Scott, sing them out.
What do you want me to sing, man?
I don't know. Just do something. It's dead air. Bye, everyone.
Bye.